I've made a lot of Geometry Dash levels, however, I've recently noticed that a lot of them look pretty much the same. So today, I thought of doing something more unique. In today's video, I'll be trying to make a Geometry Dash level using only symbol objects. So let's see what I made and how I made it. Alright, so I have the level right here, and I'll first begin by just finding like a random ass song to use. So yeah, let's just try to find something. You know what, let's use Fright March because it's a pretty cool song. Also need to figure out a starting offset for this, by the way. I feel like this is a good starting offset, having this like pretty short and chill part. Now I'll just like lay out all of the objects that I can use for this, basically. Okay, yeah, so these are pretty much all of the objects that I'm allowed to use for decoration. So I think I'll just stash them either right here or maybe just like below the ground. I forgot to add them, but I can also use these objects. And the first thing I'll do is use this circle to just place you in the sky to begin with. Let's build some gameplay because we obviously need some gameplay because there has to be something that we have to decorate. I feel like I'll probably start off with like a sort of bounce onto a structure like this. I want to do something very simple cube gameplay. Not even anything like remotely hard, just like some super simple stuff. I tried to go for 5-star gameplay with this, however looking back at it, this is probably closer to Easy Demon. However, I don't even know if that's true because I can't even judge difficulty that's under like medium demon or something. I want to do a timing like this though, but I should probably place the orb like here maybe. Then I can place like a pink orb right here and then a structure right here. Yeah, like that. Can have like an ethereal artifice click, I guess. Well, I'd rather make you go to the top than go to the bottom, actually. So I think something like this would be better. Hopefully that syncs. If not, then I'm gonna be pretty sad. Yeah, it works. Nice. A can't let go type timing can't be bad. Yeah, nice. And yeah, 7 seconds of gameplay. Hopefully that won't be that bad to decorate. Now I want to emphasize with this, I don't think I want to do some like glow style stuff with this. In fact, I want to do some more like effect based stuff with all of this, since like my palette is so limited. But before I begin with the decoration, I want to give a shout out to Jep05 because he actually suggested this video. So this video would probably not have happened if it wasn't for him. So thank you, Jep. And with that out of the way, let's just begin with the decoration. So, the decoration process didn't really start that well, as I was originally going to do a custom background made up of rotating stars. However, as you can probably tell, it didn't look that good. So I decided to scrap that, and here's how that went. I mean, something that I could try to do is like, I could just take like a very large thingo like this. Screw it, let's make this like a custom background instead. So I'll just scrap all of this like star related stuff. Instead, I'm gonna just use some like lines for this. Maybe something like this could work. I could make one version that's group 2. I can copy it, and this one will be group 3. And then they'll both just like rotate in the opposite axes. And then maybe I can make like a layer that's a bit smaller. It's layered above though, and it's also blending. Okay, I kind of forgot that like blending does not work with wide objects. You know what? I think that actually looks really fire, you know? Give all of this group 4 and make group 4 move. It's not the greatest thing on the planet, but then again, I'm not that good with like effect-based stuff, so if I can make something that's tolerable for the human eye, then I consider that a win in my book. I then added a backdrop to the lines, and even more lines. But it did look really cool, so I'm not changing it. Maybe I can do like another thing as well, where like I make a circle out of star objects. Yeah, that could work. I want to make these point into the center though at all times, and then just like make like a really huge circle with all of these and make it be like very tight, you know, basically. I really like these stars. In fact, I like them so much that I made 2 more layers of stars. And after making them rotate, I had a pretty cool custom background. What I want to work on now are some like ground spikes, basically. For these ground spikes, I'm thinking of using either star objects or just crosses. Maybe I can use star objects actually. I can scale them up like this, make like a pretty small circle using them actually. Actually no, that could be a good saw blade design in fact. I can make these ones that are like more 45-degree rotated be blending. Maybe I can take like these ones, scale them down a bit, rotate them like this, and then make them be half opacity black, or maybe full opacity black. Maybe just like a dark blue, I guess. I then gave the saw blades an area move effect where they would close in when you got near them, which I thought looked pretty neat. I was originally gonna rotate them, but unfortunately that would take up way too many groups and I am really lazy. I feel like the next thing that I'll do is probably a block design, in fact. And then I want to use some like squares for this, but I'm not just gonna scale them up to like be a normal square. I'll scale them up to be a normal square, kind of warp them like this, and then place them like this, make them, let's say, just be color 1, but like way darker. Individually scale it down, and let's make some black inner outlines. Even though I'm just limited to a few objects, I still have to use my beloved black inner outlines. I don't really know what to do for an inside though, but I feel like something that could be cool is using like this object right here. I don't really know how this works, but hey, it could possibly look cool. I then made some outlines, however I only put them on the top and bottom, but even though I did that, they were still pretty annoying to make. However, they did look pretty cool. I don't really like this too much, and this would probably be looking way better if I just add some glow to this, but I can't use glow here. I can only use like these objects, which kind of sucks. Maybe I can add like an underpiece to this though, like rotating the objects like this, aligning them below like this, and then making them be like maybe just a black color. That kind of looks like wheels though. That's really funny. What if I had some like triangles underneath this? You know, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore, bro. This is some of the most experimental I've ever been, like, in a while, actually. I feel like I definitely need something to, like, connect this more together. So maybe I'm gonna add some, like, ground spikes, finally. I used stars again for these ground spikes, and made some interesting shapes using some copy and pasted squares, which looked interesting, but they still weren't completely done yet. Maybe copy paste them around like this, sure. Maybe even giving them the same group as the saw blades. I think that actually looks pretty nice. And then I'm gonna just like copy this around the entire part. And I'll also like move them down more. Once I've made it so that like they don't interfere with like any of the structures you're going through, then I'll also add the hitboxes to them. I'm gonna do that later though. I feel like what I'm doing with this is just making like a sort of pilot thingo first, and then later on I'll be like doing some other stuff. What I can try to do now is make like a sort of vignette for the foreground actually. So I'll make this be T4, make it be completely black, and then the further in you go, the like less opaque it gets. So maybe to like this layer, and then I don't even know what to like call this strategy I'm wishing for. This is so like not known or like not even thought about by most people, but in this exact video is the one where I'm just asking for like a way to like make it so that you don't manually have to scale everything to like align them. Do like an align scale type thing. I don't even know if it's better to make it like a black color or like a blending color. I can try both actually. You know what, I think that actually works better, yeah. If I do change my mind and want to use the darker alternative, I'll just stash that up here. But I feel like for right now, I might just want to use the brighter version. Actually, I was gonna say I'm gonna just like copy this stuff to the rest of the part, but I haven't even made a spike design for this. What? I want to do something more unique with the spikes as well, not just do like some boring all woeful spike design. Do like some unique stuff. Maybe, you know what, let's build a Christmas tree, yeah. I didn't do anything building related for Christmas. The only thing I did was that one layout I made. So screw it, let's do a Christmas tree design for these spikes. Even copy them a bit below and make those be blending actually. I'll use the solid ones in the center, make that be like a backing for this. Gotta make all of this be like T1 though, because it has to be the same layer as the spikes. That's really nice actually, I like that a lot. Well now, since I have ground spikes, background, saws, spike, and block design, I might just want to copy this to like the rest of the part. And then, if I have any ideas for more deco to do, then I'll do that deco. But I feel like for right now, I just want to like fill all of this stuff in. Again, this is probably my first time I've ever done like a more effect heavy style. But I think it's looking pretty good so far. But yeah, let's just do a little time lapse of me filling in block design, saw design, spike design, and ground spikes. And yeah, let's just see what I'll do after that. And while I'm filling in these designs, I'll just humbly ask you to please subscribe. We're pretty close to 5,000 subscribers, so maybe we'll hit that in the following weeks. I also have memberships, so smash that join button for tons of cool perks. But let's get back to me decorating a level with only simple objects. Alright, so I've filled in all of the block design, all of the spike design, all of the saw blades, and all of the ground spikes. And the part is actually coming together. As you can see, I made a sort of flickering effect for these like inner thingos right here using some scale triggers. And I think it looks very nice. Now, I'm not too sure what to do now, but I feel like what I can try to do is maybe do some portal deco. So, let's see how that would work, actually. I think I'll begin by just, like, putting down a circle like this. Scale it up to, sure, let's say 3.5 times. Do like that, yeah. And then maybe put, like, an X inside of it. It's still a bit too simple, and also I'm gonna move up this a bit more. You know what, I think that works. Yeah, that's nice. And then, since I'm totally not lazy at all, I'll just do the same thing for the orbs, because why not? So yeah, let's just put these orbs and stuff throughout the parts. I feel like this has gone to like the point where like you wouldn't even know that everything you're seeing is just made by using these objects right here, which is really funny. I think what I can try to do now is maybe even add like some quote-unquote glow lasers using some of these objects. I basically used the same trick as I did for the background, so let's just time-lapse this glow lasers since you already know how I made them. I think what I want to do now is add some pulses to this, and yes, I am allowing pulses because they're not any visible objects, they just cause like a visual effect, since I'm using like these other triggers as well. Yeah, it's slightly noticeable, but it's not anything too insane. But I do like it, you know. But yeah, I feel like that's probably this entire part, surprisingly. But I'm really liking this. It's my first time doing like a sort of wulzy-esque style. That's what I'm calling this. I don't think it's too effect heavy. It's more like wulzy style basically. But I'm a fan of this. I like this a lot. I'm definitely surprised by how I did this. And I definitely exceeded my expectations. And I find it funny myself that I only used these objects right here for making this entire part, which is pretty surprising actually. But yeah, as you guys can probably expect, even though this idea was from someone completely else, This is heavily inspired by wulzy's creating challenges. And that's pretty funny because wulzy also gave me a shout out recently, which I'm very thankful for. Thank you very much, wulzy, and thank you for the send on the penultimate demon. I'm praying that the level actually got rated. If it got rated during the time I'm making this video, then I'll post like a clip of my reaction, which I think will be really funny. But yeah, I think what I'll do now is just put the names of the members of my channel to the parts. Thank you so much to all of my members: Dastinity, GhostXan, RSD621, Il Padre, Qafo, Felmix9, RionFX, SKechyGD, AquaticGD, KirbyaxolotlGMD, Ripluck, NEOntixx, Tekain, NoLifeCohen, Tiza, and Lafftik. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. This is definitely one of my more experimental videos, but I figured that since I already made a video trying out the modern style, I feel like I should try to do one in an effect style as well, and maybe even in the future I'll try other styles as well. But with that out of the way, let's just get to the final showcase of the level.